Hey, hello, I'm Kråkan, also known as Corvus Cornix, so welcome to YACC, yet another Crowcast where I pick a game, I play it for a week, and then I talk about it. This week's game is the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion, and it was published in 2006, developed by Bethesda Softworks, and published by Bethesda Softworks and 2K Games. And also there'll be spoilers up ahead, just so you know. But first, a little backstory. I first came in contact with this game through a magazine called PC Gamer, and weekly or monthly, I should say, you got like a demo disc, like a DVD, and it was a video on Oblivion, and I thought it was really cool. I always been into like role-playing games and stuff, and it was like, this looks amazing, I want to play this. Damn it. so eventually got it, and it didn't run well on my XP machine at the time. I think I put every setting down, and I still can only get 4 frames out of the goddamn thing. But there was a workaround, and I think it was on the PC Gamer disc as well. Later they released a patch called Old Oblivion, and it basically turned off all the shaders and everything, and the game looked a little crappier, but you can play it, and that was the point. So another thing that was kind of interesting, I thought I would run into a whole bunch of problems installing it on my new PC, which so I just installed the thing. It was a little tricky to get the launcher to work, but I managed. And I installed the thing, and I booted up the game. I was greeted an error message saying we don't support this graphic card. And I was like, okay, now I'm in for trouble. But I just booted up the game, and it worked. All I ever did was I cranked everything up and changed the resolution to fit the screen size, and no problems. To me, and as Todd Howard might say, it just works. Not a crash, nothing, it just works. So the game starts with a cinematic about the Emperor explaining about the dreams he's been having about the Oblivion invasion, and we'll get deeper into that as the story progresses, I guess. So they pan over the Cyrodiil landscape and into the Imperial city and into one of the prison blocks where you are currently at. So you're a prisoner. It's never explained how you ended up in jail, but there you are, basically. Here's where the character creation comes into place. So you can select between a few classes or races, I guess. So we have the cat people called Khajiit, and they're cats, humanoid cats, and they can see in the dark. So all the characters or classes or races have different abilities, pros and cons, if you will. So then you have the Dwemer, which are basically dark elves. They're really cool, and that's the race I go for always because they're good with destruction magic and blades. Then we have the Bosmer, which are basically wood elves. They're good with bows, and then you have the Altmer, which are basically high elves, and they have golden skin and they are good with magic, but I also think that they are vulnerable to magic as well somewhat. I don't really remember, and then you have the Oregonians, which are basically lizard people, and they are immune to poison. And then you have the Imperials, which are basically the common people of Tamriel, not Tamriel, but Cyrodiil, the province of Cyrodiil, which this game takes place in. So all the races come from different countries, so you have I'll get into those, but it's really cool how everything fits together, and it's a really huge landmass. And then you have the Red Guards, which are basically the black people of this world. And this real cool thing about the Red Guards, it was actually a game prior to this where they actually tested out the 3D capabilities, because the earlier Elder Scrolls game were 2D, emulating 3D. So Red Guard was one of the first games that actually, went for the full 3D perspective. It wasn't that good, but, you gotta start somewhere, right? And then you have the Breton, which are basically people which are good at using magic. And then you have the orcs, and the orcs in this game are not the brutes that you normally see in RPGs. They have the skill like Berserk, but maybe it's just a thing they have limited voice casting in this game, so there's 10 or somewhat people that did the voices. So for some reason, most of the orcs sound noble, like the Imperials. I don't know, I think that's kind of funny. So when you're done making your character, done messing around, putting names and whatnot, you start the game. And the whole prison area is basically a tutorial on how to play the game. It explains stamina, health, magic usage. So this game progresses in an interesting fashion. The things you do are the things you get good at, and that makes sense. So if you use a lot of restoration magics like healing, you get better with healing spells. If you use destructive magic like firebolts, you get better with destruction magic. And if you use blades and you parry a lot, you get good with those skills. So there are tons of skills and whatnot. And if you're good at sneaking, there's a whole bunch of things the tutorial teaches you. But the funny thing is, right across the corridor, like one of your jailmates, you go up to like the bar, whatever class you pick, he always insults you no matter what. And it's like, he's just an a-hole, basically. But not for too long. The Emperor arrives at your prison block with a couple of blades. The blades are basically the Emperor's private guards. So for some reason, there is a hidden door in your cell, and that's why they're coming down here, because the Mythic Dawn is like a cult that's been killing the Emperor's sons prior to the Oblivion invasion, because now Tamriel and Cyrodiil are being invaded by Merunes Dagon, which is the main bad guy, a huge red demon with lots of arms. Think Goro from the Mortal Kombat series, but red and tall as a tower. So anyway, the Emperor talks to you, and he has seen you in his dreams, and he knows that you're destined to do great things. And that's the trope of every RPG, right? You're to save the world. Or not. This is an open game. I can do whatever I want. So you follow along with the Emperor for a bit, and you get attacked by assassins in the tunnels and the sewers and whatnot. And not for too long, the Emperor and the blades and you split up, and you get attacked by rats. And basically a brick wall falls down and some rats attack you. And this is where you learn how to play the game more into it, how to sneak and whatnot. Because when you sneak, you do a lot of extra damage if you come up from behind and whatnot. And also there's some convenient placements in this kind of catacombs and whatnot. You pick up the things that you need. You learn about lock picking, which is a mini game in itself. Not like in Skyrim, but the Oblivion kind of puzzle with the locks. It's a little more, I think it's better. Yeah, let's just say that. And you pick up like convenient items that teach you how you play the game. Like you pick up lockpicks, as I said, you pick up bows and blunt axes and swords and heavy armor and light armor. And you start to like learn how to play the game. So you eventually find your way back with the Emperor. The blades goes out to like fight the guys, and Uriel says like he can't move on any further, and the Emperor gets killed by an assassin. Like the Emperor, before he dies, he entrusts you with the Amulet of Kings, and it's basically something that the Emperor has, like maybe it's like a proof of like him being like the dragon blood or something, because this is convoluted, I guess, but the dragon blood is basically a thing in Skyrim, and it's also the thing keeping him an emperor, because Uriel is basically the personification of like the dragon or something, one of the 9 divines, like Akatosh or something. Yeah. So he entrusts this amulet to you, and the blades kind of get confused. The Emperor is dead, so now you have to find the last heir. His name is Martin Septim, and he's been brought up not knowing that he's the son of the Emperor. So since all the other Emperor's sons are dead, you have to go find Martin. So you have to go to a place called Waynon Prior and talk to a priest named Joffrey, and he knows about Martin's secret. So you basically go there. And the first time I played this game, I didn't know about fast traveling. So I was like, okay, I just walk all over to Waynon Prior from the Imperial City. And I got attacked by monsters, and I was like, this is impossible. How do you supposed to traverse the world? And I was like, okay, when I figured out fast traveling, I was like, okay, now I'm just being stupid. So you arrive at Waynon Prior, and you talk to Joffrey, and you get some items to assist you, basically. And you walk all the way, or fast travel, all the way to Kvatch, which has basically been overrun by the Oblivion armies already. So there are some monsters from this dimension there, and you find Martin, but he doesn't want to leave until he knows everybody is safe in Kvatch. He accepts that he is the Emperor's son, but he does so reluctantly because he has been living like a priest, living like a normal life. But anyway, you help the local guards. You go into one of these gates, and you break it down by taking out the sigil stone, and that basically collapses the gateway, and you get flung out. So the Oblivion plains are kind of cool. It's like this lava kind of landscape with spiky towers, and everything like is alien and like red. So go to the sigil tower, defeat a bunch of enemies, and you grab the sigil stone and you close the gate. So you take Martin to Joffrey or whatever, and you later end up in Cloud Ruler Temple, where the game really starts to open up. So you've done your part of the deal, you've done what the Emperor wanted you to do. Now you can start to explore the game or do whatever you want. So at this point you're asked, or you choose if you want to join the Blades or not. So if you choose to join the Blades, you basically start to infiltrate the Mythic Dawn as pretending to be one of them. So you need to get a couple of books to get like a location of their secret dungeon, whatnot, and a couple of key phrases to say to the doorman, basically. I think it's kind of funny, but you infiltrate the cult and you steal a couple of items, and you basically end up at a place called Mancon Cameron's Paradise, and he is a powerful magician, and I think he is the one who runs the Mythic Dawn, obviously. So you need to get a sigil stone or something. There's like to the end game of it, I guess. So if you choose to work for the Blades, you basically need to rally all the cities to help out in the final battle. And it's really a cool scene. You have like all these representation of all the different cities. They wind up in a battlefield and they have to like fight until a big like Oblivion gate open. You have to go inside of that one and rip it apart from the inside. So at this point you're pretty decked out as a character, so there shouldn't be any problems like. And the game ends, and this is a big spoiler, but the game ends in the Imperial city. You and Martin walks into the temple of Akatosh, I believe, and you basically fight this huge demon. Merunes Dagon has basically entered the world, this big monster demon prince thing. Martin shatters the amulet of kings and he becomes the embodiment of Akatosh. He becomes the dragon. It's really cool, and they duke it out, and basically Martin or Akatosh defeats Merunes Dagon, and Martin is wounded in a battle and he becomes like a solid statue. So this scene is both sad and funny because Sean Bean is the voice actor of Martin Septim, and he dies in every movie that he's in. In every type of media he dies. I don't think he dies in like Silent Hill, the movie, but that's kind of a funny reference. He can't survive anything that he's in. So you basically get rewarded for your efforts. So you get the Imperial Dragon Armor, which is this really cool enchanted armor set. It takes a while to get it. You have to wait like, I think it's a couple of weeks, but it's worth the wait. So another cool thing about the Elder Scrolls game is that it has a lot of lore. So the country of Tamriel is huge, and this game takes place in Cyrodiil, the main central part of the land, the Imperial city and whatnot. And it has some cool, like, based reality facts, which big cities are close to water, and the Imperial city is surrounded by water. And it has like a sewer system and whatnot, and it's built in layers. Really cool. Then you have Elsewhere, which is kind of funny. It's like a land where the Kashyyyk come from, I think. And then you have Skyrim, obviously, of the northern people of the Nords. I forgot to tell also at the creation of the beginning of the game, you can pick Nords. They're basically strong, and I think they have more health, I think. Then you have Hammerfell. That's the place of the orcs, I think. I'm not really sure. Then you have like Vardenfeld, Valenwood, sorry. Then Black Marsh, I think that's the place where the Argonian comes from. And then you have Morrowind, and that's the province of the Dark Elves, the Dunmer. And in the land of Cyrodiil, you have these cities, like small cities. Well, they're actually quite huge. They have like lots of quests and stuff, and I think it's really cool. So you have the city of Anvil, far to the west, and you have Kavach, which burned down during the Oblivion Crisis. Then you have Skingrad, Leowyn, Bravil, Shaden Hall, Coral, and Bruma. And it takes a while to travel between these cities, and it's like a cool, everything is an open world kind of thing. So I also like to mention the Deathric Princes of Oblivion, and it's kind of a cool thing. They have like shrines all over Cyrodiil. Basically, you offer something like a nightshade or some yarn, different kind of tributes, and you get to talk to the god in question or the prince of a certain Oblivion plane. And it can be like a mundane task to kill someone or just do some random things that the god wants you to do, and you basically get rewarded for completing a quest. So these quests are basically level based, so some can be like a level 1 or some can be like 14. So something I didn't talk about, but basically when you level up a skill, you need to sleep, and then you progress to the next level and you can put points in what you want. So what you do is basically what you get good at. So if you use a lot of magic, you get more magic points and willpower, and if you use blunt weapons and hit your sword a lot. Your blade skill will go up, and probably strength. You can choose to put points in strength anyway. But anyway, Clavius Vile deals with pacts and power and bargains. So none of the Deathric Princes are actually good. So they are the balance of or more or less the opposite of the 9 divines, which most of the Imperial worship. So they're more like saints and good characters. I'm not going to talk in too much depth, but I would like to mention a couple more. Like Gigalag is the Prince of Logic and Order, and he's part of the Shivering Isles expansion set. And it's really cool because Lord Sheogorath, which is the Prince of Madness, used to be Gigalag. So the other Deathric Princes were not pleased with him because he was stirring up rockets and war and everything. So they basically turned him into the opposite. So he became Sheogorath, the Prince of Madness from Logic. And I think it's a really cool backstory. So more in that with the DLC thing. And then you have Sanguine, the Prince of Hedonism and Debauchery. And this list goes on, but I think it's really cool. So the last I will mention in this pod, it's been going on for a while, but the last I'll talk about are the guilds. So you have the Thieves Guild. The Thieves Guild is located in every city. You have like fences and people that you can sell stolen goods to, but to join the Thieves Guild, you basically have to find them first. You can do this just by entering the waterfront of the Imperial city. You have to stand like outside. There's like outside of the wall, there's like a person named Armand Christoph. He arrives at midnight or something. I think you can find out this information by talking to the beggars, basically, because the beggars are the eyes and ears of the Thieves Guild. And it's really cool. You get like the first mission you get is like stealing something. If you manage to do that, you actually join the Thieves Guild. So the Thieves Guild has a guild leader called the Grey Fox, and he has a cowl. And this cowl basically removes the person behind it from the history of the world, which is, I don't know how that magic works, but I think he stole it from one of the Deathric Princes called Nocturnal. Nobody knows who he is behind the cowl, but he is the leader of the Thieves Guild. So his actual name is Corvus, and he was the lover of, or the husband of, a countess in one of the cities. So he basically put on the cowl and she forgot who he was. So even if you take off the cowl, no one will remember you, right? So he needs to find one of the Elder Scrolls, because that's part of the whole quest chain and whatnot, that you break the curse of the cowl so he can return to his love. And you actually meet Corvus, or the Grey Fox, during your quest line. He is basically called a stranger because you don't know who he is, but you need his expertise in falsifying a letter. So you basically rank up as you go through. You are a common thief at first, and then you rank up and you can get more fences in other cities and whatnot. So a good tip for playing the Thieves Guild quest is go to a local castle, sneak in there and just steal all the silverware. That way you can basically rack up points, and because the more thing you sell, the faster you can rank up to the next mission and whatnot. So there's the Dark Brotherhood. So they are kind of creepy. All you need to do is murder someone, and they will pop up a little message on the screen saying like an unseen force has observed you or something. And when you go to sleep, the next time you wake up, Lucien Lachance, basically a Dark Hood, like a Dark Brotherhood member, will stand next to your bed. And this is really creepy. He basically tells do you want to join the Dark Brotherhood? And if you choose to accept, you have to murder a monk or something at a tavern. And then you start the whole Dark Brotherhood quest line. And it's basically about killing people. That's what they do. They're assassins. So there's a really cool quest chain. You go and pick up dead drops. It's a whole this kind of secret kind of cult kind of thing. And you basically betrayed the Dark Brotherhood by someone actually inside the Dark Brotherhood has mixed up these dead drops, and you basically are killing off your own brothers and sisters. So they have rules in this. They have tenets. So it's really cool. You can never dishonor the Night Mother, which is basically one of their saints and whatnot. Never betray a brother or sisters or the secret of the Brotherhood. Never refuse an order from a higher up. Never steal from a brother or sister. Never kill a brother or a sister. You will invoke the wrath of Sithis, which is basically the void. So they have this mythology behind it all, and it's really cool. And the Dark Brotherhood also has a vampire character in it too, so you can actually become a vampire. So you take like damage from the sun, but you get faster and whatnot. It's a really cool thing. Then you have the Fighters Guild, which you basically go out on adventures and earn money and help people. Then you have the Mage Guild, and that's you basically do like task for the mages, and you become the guild leader of the thing. That's basically like all the guilds that you start in, you become the guild leader at the end, like the guild master. I don't know. So yeah. And then you have the arena, which is a place where you fight. That's what you do. So you fight against other gladiatorial characters, and if you win prizes and whatnot. You earn money. And there's also tied to the last boss of the arena is called the Grey Prince, and he wants to learn about his heritage. And he finds out that he's a vampire if you help him with the quest line, and he's not pleased about it. So you can basically cheese the last boss if you just tell him that he's a vampire. He's not very pleased. So gameplay. Save Tamriel from the Oblivion invasion, or do what you want. Control, WASD moves you around, the mouse looks. Left button attacks or does action, and the right mouse button just blocks. Space basically interacts with things. You pick up things, you open doors. Control, if you press the control button, you sneak. If you press shift, you will run, and if you press E, you will jump, and if you press R, you will rest if there are no enemies around. And tab brings up the quest menu and item menu. And while in the menu, you can press like 1 to 9, and these are basically hotkeys. So if you can put like potions or spells or anything on these quick keys. It's really useful if you just want to change spells or switch between weapons and whatnot. Graphics, Gamebryo and Speed Tree. The only complaint I can say about the graphics and whatnot, the character models don't look that good, but it's an old game. It's like 16 years old, so I can't complain about it that much. And I know the community has a lot of modding, and I think also like the modding program called the construction set came with the game, so you can actually make your own mods. Really good, Bethesda, really good. Sound and music, Jeremy Soule did the soundtrack, and it's really beautiful orchestral soundtrack. Really nice. He also worked on Guild Wars, Icewind Dale, which is like D&D, Neverwinter Nights, which is also D&D. And of course he worked on Skyrim and Morrowind, also Elder Scrolls game. So there's this funny thing where every time you enter a battle, this really dramatic sound starts up like this, building this epic fight, and a rat attacks. It's like, well, yeah, sure. I thought that's one of the funnier points where everything is supposed to be epic and then you get attacked by a rat. Easter egg, secrets, and glitches. So I looked up a couple of Easter eggs because I didn't know, or glitches. So there's a thing you can do with paintbrushes. You can actually stack them. You make a bridge out of paintbrushes and you move into the final area through a door which is halfway sunken into the ground, and you trigger the end sequence. So I was like, okay, you can beat this game in like 20 minutes. So in conclusion, I wrote, yes, this game is 16 years old, but it still holds up today. And I just installed it and I amped up the resolution and put everything to match, and it just worked. I didn't patch anything and it ran smooth. This game has a lot of DLC and the modding community is great. The only complaint I guess I have is that the main storyline and the opening of the game it drags. When you play the game a lot, you don't want to play the intro sequence. There's a funny thing I did with the modding tool called the construction set. I made a little door, and it basically takes you all the way to the end of the sewers, so you don't have to go through that whole thing. I made a mod, so I made the game playable. I don't know. It's kind of stupid, but yeah. So anyway, thanks for listening and or watching, and take care.